those guys better than they were earlier today. Oh, how's that for a leap? Lysette fell at their feet, eventually spills to Shuey. Sends it inside the forward 50. Dowling goes at it, storming up the ground. McGovern. Lacroix improvising. Grundy did well. Rampe. And out of defence, the ball goes towards the outer side, and Grundy, or rather Jenner's out. Across it comes. Not a particularly good hand pass intended for Jack, taken by Prittis. Kicks it down towards half forward. Dowling misses the ball. Hand pass stifled by Laidler. And now it's McVeigh. That's a well-directed kick. Nicely weighted. And Reid has it.
So Reid, first forward thrust for the Sydney Swans. He sends it into vacant territory, really. Race on McKenzie. The acting skipper puts the slipper into it from on the turf, looking for the boundary, and he'd be happy to see McGinnity sliding across.
Tailor-made conditions for two absolute contested ball geniuses for their respective clubs in Prittis and Josh Kennedy. Looking forward to those two players standing next to each other at this stoppage.
Lysette works his way in front again. That was some sort of leap at the opening bounce, as if to prove a point. I'm in this team and I want to stay. Malcheski, he had the footy. Up it will come again. So greasy conditions. Hard to get a read on whether it suits West Coast or not, but you would think, Tom, it might just even things up a little.
Yeah, it can. I mean, the really good sides, it's a bit of a myth in football that wet conditions can bring the really classy sides back down a notch. I tend to think the other way. I think the really good sides actually show their worth and their class. And I mean, the Swans are just a proven contested side, but they've also got plenty of outside skill.
Boundary throw in. Lysette slaps it back towards the boundary. Wellingham did well, running out of space, hurriedly onto the boot. It was touched. Cripps helps the ball on its way up towards the wing. Eludes Rampe. Runs free. Kennedy. Now Rosa having a pretty good year. Sweeping hand pass. How will it set? Awkwardly for Lacroix. With dash coming through Richards. He was stopped though. Down goes Jones, I think it is, who was cocked high. Players remonstrating with Kennedy. It's going to be a free kick. And it's Jones who gets up. Saw him make his debut a couple of weeks back against the Tigers. Likely type.
Looks the Sydney Swans type then, doesn't he?
He does. Not in that shot, though. He's down and almost unconscious as the ball comes down.
But he got up.
Towards half forward. That's the key. Bird stood up in a tackle. Driven forward down towards half forward by Brennan. Opportunity in front. Kennedy falling to the ground. Releases Gaff. Nobody behind this pair. Smith and Lacroix, but the ball offline and it goes out of bounds. So often we see teams when they attack now directing the ball into the pocket to get this situation.
Just see the contact here. Elected to bump. Head high contact.
How would you know?
I'm not putting words in your mouth either, Tom.
He'll be in trouble, I reckon.
So Gaff got that from Hutchings. Flying shot. It didn't really make contact. McGlynn at the back picks up. Prittis, tough customer, worked the handball across to Hutchings or Gaff at their feet, and Gaff just intent to see it over as well.
Just going to that collision with Kennedy. I mean, earlier in the season it was absolutely clear as day. If you elected to bump, got it opposition head high, you're in trouble. Buddy Franklin murkied the waters a bit, but I think Kennedy's in a bit of strife there, Dan.
Well, Adam Goods muddied them a bit too, as we said the other night. It helps to hit a tough guy because collateral damage is pretty important. He hit Selwood, who got up immediately.
Lysette with a free kick. He sends it long down towards full forward. Darling maybe held there. No free. Shuey at the bottom of that pack. Rampe it was with a big spoil. And they get the free kick. Bird can't believe it.
That's what I like about the West Coast forward line, and particularly with McGovern in, who's got presence for a young player. Darling and Kennedy, particularly against the Swans. Dane Rampe is going to have to play tall. You see the contest there, but it's the follow-up effort of Jack Darling. He's been a great player, such a young player, but a great player for West Coast early in his career.
22 goals this season. He's had a good year. Quiet the last couple of weeks, spending more time in the midfield. This for the opening goal. And West Coast get the fast start.
Second effort here from Jack Darling. I mean, the ball is... he's got no control of that. That's stiff. Should have been a ball up.
Yeah, just hoping nobody tried to kick it. There's Hutchings out of the middle. High ball. Darling goes back, looking for the body of Laidler. Missed him completely. And Trouble was Smith, Laidler at close quarters, Kennedy, Malcheski so important to the Swans, kicks it towards the outer side, bounces awkwardly for the record holder of the afternoon. Hutchings, waiting for him was Rampe. In fact, it was Lloyd, socket off the ground by Marston. Hutchings continued his run. Bird came over the top, and eventually it's rushed across the line. So boundary throw in. Josh Kennedy continuing a wonderful streak of consecutive games. Adam Simpson having a tough baptism in Western Australia. First coaching appointment, but very cool-headed. Jack bounces out of trouble. McVeigh under pressure goes to midfield. Waist back. Leading the race is Rowan, coming across to the wing. Lays it off. And the overlap is Cunningham. Goes down towards half-forward. Misses Jetta. Ball skids on and goes out of bounds.
There's a good insight as to how wet it is down there. Don't see those conditions very often in modern AFL football.
It's like Subiaco Oval in the old days before Mick Malthouse took the assembled media in about 1993 across the turf and showed them why this ground needed fixing. And guess what? Mick had it fixed. McGlynn. Chance to run onto it. Here's Schofield behind him. Marston off the ground. That was clever. Gains about 30 metres. Races on now. And Marston with a good bit of pace goes again. Earns another 15 or 20 metres. And score that one Marston's way.
It's really valuable wet weather football. It's a midfielder's game. Midfielders in the contested situation. Jude, any key matchups through the middle of the ground?
Through the middle, obviously, I've just been watching a little bit of defence. It's more Mackenzie's been just looking to have a bit more support with her buddy Franklin. So Schofield's rolling off goods before that.
Quick kick forward. It came from Parker. Jetta did very well then, and now Jack. Buddy Franklin holds up, and Cunningham, and he's got Reid cruising past. Can he get it to Reid? Well, it wasn't perfect. It was on the deck. So we'll go back to Cunningham from outside 50. Terrific chase, McGinnity, and rewarded.
That was impressive, wasn't it? McGinnity. There's a man on the cusp of selection and played accordingly. Hearn drives it up towards the wing. It's 3-on-2 here. The third man getting back is Smith, issuing instructions as he goes. Now it's 3-on-1. Smith at close quarters to Rampe. Almost runs himself into trouble. Great vision back to the middle though. Spotted McVeigh. Couple to choose from inside that centre square. McVeigh, another very good year. Short, McGlynn. Pocket dynamo, McGlynn. High ball. Lurking behind the pack, Rowan didn't get to the contest. Fisted away by Ellis. Taken by Cunningham. Smothered by Gaff. Hand pass from Reid. Shot by Parker. There's a beauty.
Yeah, terrific finish. Just Marston just needed to be closer to Parker, have the awareness that he's a goal-scoring midfielder. He can't afford to give him so much space inside the forward 50.
So Cox now doing the ruck work. He got high as well, but was well done by Pike. Got it on the way down and kicks in Buddy's direction. Schofield pushed off the football. Buddy Franklin from a long way out. He sends it back towards the goal square. Now Rowan's got plenty of speed. Gets there. Jack it is rather. Gets there first. Handball back into a dangerous area. But Shuey knew where the line was and got it over. Interesting kick from Buddy.
Yeah, it looked like it was going straight down the throat of the Eagles player. I wasn't sure who it was, but carried further than first thought. There is a bit of a breeze, Jude, blowing right to left.
Yeah, a little bit right to left at this stage, and some of the other matchups got Marston on Jared McVeigh there, two really smart ball users.
There's Prentice towards half forward. Nobody behind this pair. Well done by Grundy. Got a fist on it. Bird, not at the first attempt, bowled over at the second, but did move the football, ramping through the pack. Tried to knock it out his Pike. His second opportunity. Prentice loves this situation. In and tight. Down goes Cripps. The umpire whistles it up. It's going to be that sort of day. Sydney played like this on a fine evening in Melbourne a couple of weeks back against Richmond on a Friday night. Able to bottle it up. Bird, Cunningham. And now it's driven forward by Jones. Skids beyond the wing and Rosa.
Over the footy, threw it out in Ellis's direction, had a little bit too much on it. What about the pick up from Buddy in the left hand, in the wet? That was magnificent. Adam Goods running onto the football, just got away from him. The pick up, Tom, superb.
He looks in good form, Buddy Franklin, at the moment. Have a look at this here. Gee, there's some talent between those two, Adam Goods and Buddy Franklin, but not great conditions for a marking forward, but that just shows you how valuable he is. And Eric McKenzie, the acting captain, with his hands full.
Hasn't been a great ground for Buddy either. Bird, though, sharked that well from Cox. It's across the face and is going to run out of bounds. Yeah, Buddy Franklin back in Perth, of course, where he grew up, originally from Darwin. Wesley College boy. Only once in his previous 12 as he kicked a bag of 5, and that was round 2 last year for Hawthorn against the West Coast Eagles.
I think Mel Brown came from the same spot, didn't he? Socket off the ground close to the boundary line. Picked up, though, by Marston. Sydney trying to go forward. This kick very close to the boundary again. Dowling's over it. Things worked out okay. Came off the boot of Rampe.
Remember when Buddy was playing for Hawthorn early in 2012? It may have been a horrific night, a wet night against the West Coast Eagles when they really announced themselves that year, the Hawks. So these conditions not unfamiliar to Buddy.
Lysette, hands to it, couldn't hang on. And the ball goes across the boundary line. So a throw in. Other side. Blue collar.
Kennedy and Prentice at the front, mate.
Couple of upsets. And as a result, Sydney with a chance to get at the top of the table if they win. Well worked. Reid, Bird, McVeigh, wide of the pack, down towards the pocket. Race back. McKenzie knows he's under pressure. Sockers it. Hits the behind post. Is that deliberate? Oh, he was trying to kick a point. But
it's an interesting. Well, what's fascinating about that, then, is if it went straight out of bounds and not into the post, almost certainly deliberate.
Yes.
Well, there shouldn't actually be any difference whether you hit the post or it goes across the line. So
yeah, very lucky.
That's deliberate for mine.
I would have thought. Goods. Oh yes. What a goal. A sense of occasion there from the champion.
Yeah, this way. Straight out.
West Coast just can't leave Adam Goods around the stoppage. He's always been a big target for the Swans around forward stoppages. Still very dangerous, and a good snap there.
Jude Bolton and Adam.
On. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Josh.
Back in 1999. 3 decades of football. Remarkable. Now there's a whistle in the middle of the ground. It's going Sydney's way. And it's Pike's free. Forward Reid at the back, so dangerous. Jack, that was brilliant roving. Parker, Rosa, tough footy to win. Jack, Lacroix. Finally a clean possession. It's one out Laidler's way. Now down towards the goal square. Rowan came with a big leap. Off to the behind post, in fact, and it'll be tossed in. 7 inside 50s.
Able to set up really well defensively. The ball inside their forward 50 for repeat inside 50s.
Lysette knocked it down. Bird falling to the ground. He's an improved player. Goes out. Margin is 7 Sydney's way, but they're doing the bulk of the aggressive.
Winning the contested ball, Den 26-17 at the moment in favour.
Reid in front, backhands it down. Spills wide of the pack. Prentice, he was slung, taken out. We'll do it again. They don't have the body to put on Adam Good. Nobody volunteering. Eventually, somebody tossed in, knocked down by Reid, taken by Ellis. 250. Laidler drops back and marks it. He's been towards the goal square. They want to be careful down there. They stifle it a bit. Brennan, the ball just deflects across the line, so now is 8 points. Early going on a Sunday afternoon.
Swans have been able to do for a long time. Service the need through. It's a free agent, I believe. Jeremy Laidler from Carlton couldn't play. House at the Blues did it under Brett Ratton, but certainly.
Here we go.
Shannon Hearn with a long kick, and we'll see a bit of that this afternoon. Hutchings goes to Parker and Jack, and now Prentice taken high. So Brennan's run into a bit of trouble there. Jetta had him, so there was no... And not shy from that first opportunity. They're keen to go. Gathered now by Gaff on the wing. With him, he lost his feet. Dane Rampe was quick up to his feet as well. Over the line, it's Sydney by 8 points.
Boundary throw in. Lay set. It down. Prentice. Kennedy there with him. Well, McGlynn across his body. It runs about 15 metres. The voice back to Ellis. Ellis towards half forward. Waiting though. Sends a high ball inside the forward 50. Around the competition. He's been a wonderful. Out of defence then close to the boundary. Do that sometimes.
Just shows you the conditions there. There's certainly a considerably off Heath Grundy's boots. Good experience for McGovern. Heath Grundy.
So the ball inside the forward. Who in turn was taken high. It comes to McVeigh at very close quarters to cut. Out against the boundary. Sends it towards Jetta. And offhand.
So Lewis Jetta. Another of the Sydney Swans players back home. Got it from Prentice. Tough one here. Laidler. Right there with him is Marston, who has been getting a lot of the footy, but Jetta. Inside the centre circles. The kick's not great. Favoured by it. Goods. It's not that easy to get away from the veteran. Handball. Buddy back to Shepherd. Don't think he wanted it there. Around the corner. Cox is the target. Grundy closes. Getting it over the line.
Yeah, you mentioned Adam Goods playing cross half forward for the Swans. A pretty good matchup, but when you're talking about experience, all those sorts of things, Adam Goods is in a class of his own.
Way through the term, tossed in, some holding, umpire lets it go. His knees, Ellis, only about 10 metres. McGlynn sends it down towards the attacking 50. Could have almost been in the back down there on Smith, Rampe, Grundy. Traffic out wide, pointing back towards the middle. To him anyway, he's at left half back. Ted Richards. He was held, no free kick, and it goes out of bounds. But the umpires.
7 for Marston, then 7 for Prentice. No surprise, really, Tom. For that pair, Matty Prentice, well, he loves it anyhow, really.
Talking about him before the game, actually off air, very much underrated. Goes Jetta.
This man not underrated. Lewis Jetta took off and Brad Shepherd did the only thing he could. Now, Buddy kept going.
That lazy 60, buddy.
In the wet. Advantage.
People keep saying you're underrated.
I've seen it happen a number of times, and I've spoken to a number of former players who rated at all, because it's a very fine line between underrated.
High Jack was an unlikely target there. Prentice. Grundy double-fisted back towards Malcheski. Got a little handball away. Uses Rampe. Grundy. And Cox favoured by this, but it had a little bit too much on it. And back. He held then. Umpire put the whistle away. Mackenzie. Towards defensive 50. Swans had the numbers. Well done, Wellingham. Contest. They did really well there, the West Coast Eagles. Gaff's kick. Not volley okay. McGinnity and an excellent mark by Ken.
They're going to have to work really hard here. Cripps pushing back into space after pushing.
The the back lead. It was a poor kick to honour that lead. The ball's still in here. The football, it needed to be lower and flatter from Kennedy and quicker, Tom.
Well, that's Sydney dominating possession at the moment, 73 to 57, and as a result, in the middle of the ground and having to get their goals from kicks over the top. Tested mark, but your iPads just need to be more precise.
Or Malcheski, I thought that was pushing out. The mark played to Smith.
Those good defenders.
Out of defence, the high ball. Pike. Oh, well done by the big fella. Juggled it. Realises his limitations. Goes to Jeddah. Up towards the wing. Into the arms of Shuey. Slow to get it up. Deft deflection there by Reid. The kick to this duel. Well, only needs a draw to win. Kicks it towards the outer side. Goal this afternoon. Takes off. Have to be careful how you... In front, lie set. Almost been pushed in the back. Missed the mark. Well played, McVeigh. Knocks it towards the boundary. Well on the full. It did, I think. It's going to be a free kick to Darling. And Ham's got the ball. Former housemate, Bloody Frank. Ball outside the 50. Hutchings. Did well. Taken home.
Would have been a fun house, I reckon. Denlai set. Long one down in the Cox direction was his arm held. Umpire enough in conditions. Laidler on the end of it from Smith. Dangerous one. Well done by Rowan, but only as far as up again the West Coast Eagles. They've been really good here in the last 5 minutes or read it well. It was a 2-on-1 situation. Kennedy, McGlynn. Ball behind. McGlynn goes again. Doesn't matter. All the numbers. There's an option. Didn't spot him. It might end up with Lloyd yet. And look at them. Up 25 metres out. Now they need to get up. McGlynn kept running. And in the end, Mackenzie was the first man up from the...
To explain what happened there, Dan, and Baz, it was obviously a long way off. Mackenzie and Franklin in an almighty tangle.
Yeah, it was. McMahon would have been pleased with that. Nobody near them. Both of them on the ground wrestling. After that was what they were trying to do, work their body in front, but it deteriorated up. Back, I think it'll be okay. It is. What a beautiful goal. So Sam Reid gets another goal for Sydney.
Backing out.
So Sydney got a handy buffer now. They're up by 14 points, and West Coast really need the next one. Cripps. Again, the soccer style. Kennedy low. Now, which way will the umpires see this?
Go down.
To Nick Smith.
Yeah, Sydney's way, and fair enough. It was a rule very much in vogue at the start of the season, Tom, and we commented yesterday that it had seemed to have drifted out a little bit.
The players have certainly adjusted, Baz, and the commentary from the coaches via a survey is that they support the rule and the players adjusting accordingly.
Jeddah, that was brilliant to Goods, who wastes no time. Long in the buddy direction, not quite.
Interesting in that survey too, Tommy, the coaches talking about wanting a longer kick.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. And I think it's got a bit of merit. One of the counter-arguments to that, Den, is the kick inside the forward 50 is often less than 20, which would mean you'd obviously have to play on.
Boundary throw in. Pritis, Shuey towards the outer side again. Both sides going wide. This is Smith. McVeigh in space. Lobs one inside the forward 50. Rowan coming back strongly. Ellis taken by Marston. Slips a hand pass away. Spinning out of trouble. Brandon Jack. Didn't miss by much. Let's go down to Jude Bolton on the boundary with news about this up.
Yeah, boys, Zach Jones just went downstairs. He had the red vest on. I think he'll be getting checked out after that big hit on Kennedy. So Brandon Jack's obviously out there at the moment.
So Hearn's kick, that's a beauty. Right onto the chest of Brad Shepherd, who's also a long kick.
Move it on, Brad. Play on.
Asked to go by the ump. Down the line, Cox being held.
Dean Cox, hold him early, Mike.
There's been a bit of that going on, the two ruckmen tangling arms, and it's got a little bit ugly. Eventually the umpire losing patience and awards a free kick. Shuey on the end of it. Back to Dean Cox. 104 consecutive games up to round 12. He made his debut against Sydney in round 2, 2001. 15 disposals and 15 hit-outs, but on the wrong end of a 15-point result. Here's Marston. Down towards full forward. Kennedy went down. Umpire blows the whistle and says, free kick West Coast.
I mean, that's great forward play there by Josh Kennedy. Not only did he provide a really strong contest up against Ted Richards.
Yeah, no, I get it. We're all good. That's why we're all good. I'm just saying, I only think he's doing on cooking around the place. Yeah? That one's the one we go pull. Yeah? Yeah. Real good.
Just listening to the umpire explanation there.
Now, apologies too for the audio problems earlier in this term. Everything seems to be on track again. Not so for West Coast. That's a bad miss from Kennedy.
And just to continue about the forward set up there, not only providing a strong contest, but also enabled the other forwards to get out of his way and gave himself a chance at a one-on-one. So as the key forward there, that's something that Josh Kennedy really needs to do, particularly against this Swans defence that helped themselves out.
Boundary throw in. Malcheski kicking it on the bounce out of bounds. Cox, Pike, easily by Cox, although just at his feet. So nothing much eventuates, and the umpire calls for it.
Up we get.
Mentioned that first game, 10 of 10, Cox's round 2, 2001. He rucked in part against Adam Goods, who was in his third season back then in 2001, playing his 44th game that day.
Just a young man. Cox, high ball, manoeuvring for space, Darling. Kennedy on the assist. Dangerous forwards, but both trying to mark in that contest. Darling finds it on the ground. Pritis, brilliantly done by Laidler across his boot. Darling again heard the voice. Marston feeds it back. Kick goes in from Rosa, and Pritis never stops working, never stops moving. Best and fairest last season, has it directly in front, 25 metres out.
The 9 disposals for Matt Pritis. Just watch the work rate here. And then the courage to come back with the flight of the ball. Terrific work there by Matthew Pritis. 9 possessions thus far, 4 tackles, 3 clearances and a goal.
9 of them for the season. Puts it through. They needed that one too. They were falling off the pace. They trailed by 8.
Spot on there, Den. Just a settling goal there for West Coast. The Swans would be dirty on themselves if they've conceded a red time goal, because they really did dominate the game there for the 20-minute middle part of that quarter. I think the Eagles will be reasonably happy to be within a kick, considering the domination the Swans have had so far in this match.
Absolutely, Tom. 17 inside 50s to 12, and in these conditions, it's probably even more pronounced, isn't it, than just the differential of 5 suggests. So absolutely, 8 points down. 14 seconds left on the clock in this opening term. And Lycett again, he's been getting high, hasn't he? He's leap working perfectly. Pritis again out of the middle. 11 disposals now. Cox again appealing for a free kick. Not coming. Jetta sliding to his knees. Hutchings might have got a free kick there from Jack. Jack sort of flew off the ground and into his back, but no whistle from the umpire. And quarter time it is. Sydney with that 8-point lead.
Jack suggesting to the umpire perhaps that the guy rolled into his legs. But quarter time, interesting affair. That late goal makes it look better for the West Coast Eagles. The audio problems gone away. Audio problems like waterboarding for commentators. Well done, boys. So quarter time at Patterson Stadium. A lot to look forward to. It's Sydney by 8 points. Well, by the end, they'd sort of forsake the footy, I reckon, and just go at it. Knocked down by Pike, taken by Lysette, hacked out of there by Jack. It goes out towards the outer side. Jetta trying to get Marston off the line of the ball. Marston played it very well. He's had a good game so far. Chopped off by Laidler. Melcheski got the arms free. Taken by Shuey, though, inside the forward 50. In front of the pack and breaking away McGlynn. He kicks to space. Hearn. Well, he's hanging on a bit there, Hearn, but he played it well. Tough guy. Kick smothered. Eludes Richards, though, coming up. Kennedy slips a hand pass away. Gaff tackle from behind. McVeigh reaches in for the footy, and we've got a whistle.
I think that plays on Kennedy's mind now, Tom.
Look, it could, absolutely it could. I mean, the fact that I'm not sure he'd be made aware that Zach Jones hasn't come back on, but he would know that he got him with his shoulder to the head. So let's wait and see. Watch that with interest.
Richards off the ground. Well done, Shuey. Got his hands to the football cleanly. And then Laidler's quick kick towards the defensive 50. And Shuey didn't do so well that time. Just gave the ball up to Jack. Vacant 50. No one beyond this too. He's done well, McKenzie. He didn't need Shepherd to fall over, though. And Buddy's played it brilliantly. Now, where's the footy in there?
It's out the back.
Somewhere. Out the back, we heard the umpire say.
Just on that point about Josh Kennedy, I think the only precedence that's been set was still side bottom 5 or so weeks ago on a Friday night. He collected Nav Weller from the Saints and didn't affect him. He had plenty of the footy, but all players are different.
Interesting one here for the umpire too.
Sorry, Joe.
It was in there down the bottom. The umpire said he'll toss it up again. A quick kick forward. Lysette won the hit out. Kennedy that got the ball down. Jack slow to move. Ellis high ball. Jetta. Now McGlynn turns the ball around. Too much.
Such an industrious
I sent Craig Bird to Matt Prittis now, and at stoppages Prittis is still trying to get to Josh Kennedy at times.
Margin 9 points then. Hearn to bring it in. Angles it outside the 50 towards left half back. Ellis almost. Now is he tasked. This ball is very slippery now, and McVeigh has taken across the line. Just moments ago saw Josh Kennedy get a couple of kicks. As he always does, he gets plenty. He's continuing his streak. 121 consecutive games. That is really something. It involves two clubs. McGlynn trying to go through. Falling to the ground was Lloyd. Well done, Marston again. Won a hard ball. Missed by Rampe. Laidler went at it. Getting the crumb then was Richards, who kicks it down towards half forward. Reid was up. Kennedy again in the action. Slings it across to Pike. Dangerous ball. Franklin just leaning back on McKenzie. McKenzie having a nervous time down there, but playing it well, and now it's on, at least in the short term. I thought for a moment, Lake and Petrie. No. Just a crazed look on both of them.
He's doing a pretty good job, McKenzie. He's been outstanding so far. Cunningham trying to swing it around and bring it around. Poor contact off the boot. Let's get down to Jude Bolton.
Boys, the sub definitely has been made now. They had that time to assess the concussion, and they've definitely made the sub. So Brandon Jack is into the game.
So Brandon Jack on for the remainder, and Zach Jones sits down. That is bad luck, and as Dennis said, we hope he's okay. Speaking of Jacks, Kieran slow that time, and Rosa had him. So back to Gaff in the pocket. That's a dangerous kick. It was intended for Shuey. Laidler chopped it off. And now a high ball in from Rampe. Goods under it. Reid as well. Parker at the front. Kennedy didn't get there. Marston well done across to Shepherd.
They've got the numbers back here, Sydney. If it hits the deck, they lead in all directions. Rampe under pressure to Smith. Worked it well. Melcheski drives it back towards the attacking 50. Trying to reach over the top. Reid, nothing doing. Goods Well done by Gaff, at least initially. Parker trying to charge through the pack. Well, he did. Well done. Lays it off. Bird lowers the eyes. Is it 15? It is. And Goods has it. A couple of steps inside the 50.
It was really good vision there by Bird, wasn't it? Didn't want to blaze away.
Goods goes short. Well, goes wide as well. Taken out there by Rampe, who unloads. Oh, so picking his mark and just setting the ball wide to the man running up from defence.
Just at the top of screen, top of right screen, you see there Dane Rampe pushing off. Jack Darling it is, so he'll need to be aware of that because he has got a prodigious left foot kick, Dane Rampe.
Yeah, poor marking then from West Coast, and Darling in particular. Cox won that hit out. McGlynn, though, long one down towards the 50. Speaking of long ones, that's how they come off Hearn's boot. It was a nice kick for Lysette, and he trapped it brilliantly on the half volley. Now McGovern, Rampe, the last goal scorer, brought McGovern down, the crowd thought. Richards mopping up nicely. Kick from Malcheski, superb. Brilliant team defence by the Sydney Swans. McGlynn now defensive 50. This kick important, and well, not quite the mark from Lloyd. The kick was really good. Lloyd goes again. Bird, he had it knocked away. Hutchings off the ground, had time to pick it up. McVeigh, good pick up. Handball not so good. Hutchings kept coming. This would be a really good finish for West Coast. Offline.
Hanging tough here, the Eagles. I mean, the feel of the game is the Swans well on top. 128 disposals to 104, contested 64 to 58. Inside 50s, 22 to 17. But the Eagles only 14 points down, so would love to get the ball back off them here.
Goods taking a break as Malcheski kicks to the outer side. Pike knocked away by Cox. Marston in everything. Cox to his own advantage, played it well. Lacroix off balance, kicks inside the forward 50. Roving the pack, Kennedy releases Smith, who drives beyond the wing. This will bounce just in front of Schofield. Did well. Knocked it down to Rosa. Brandon Jack. That was a good tackle. Franklin, Rowan. Now Parker looks inside, streaking through his Jetta. Jetta into the clear, vacant goal square. Goes long. It'll run on and just miss. And I think he had a bit each way right there. Wasn't sure whether to go to Reid or try and kick a goal. I think in the end he went for Reid.
I think he went for the goal. Baz, casting vote?
Each way.
Yeah, each way. Maybe the goal, Tom. I think you're right.
Baz.
Thanks there, Luke.
Shepherd, good mark. Sorry, Dan. Only once.
Move it on.
So Sydney again, that buffer is 15 points. And you get the feeling we might say this a few times today, but West Coast really need the next goal. Rampe's been good.
Yeah, the game's on the Swans' terms, no doubt about it, as they're setting up really well defensively across halfback.
11 disposals for Rampe. That one not so good. He allowed Wellingham in. Now Lacroix had Darling. Ignored that one. Kennedy working in front of Richards. Throws it onto the boot. They need the next goal, and they've got it.
That's a big turnaround, isn't it? At one end, Jetta tries to pass to Reid, but at the other end there's a goal. Bit of humour, Tom. Ball comes wide, taken by McGlynn. McGlynn storms through, kicks inside the forward 50, going back, and the mark is taken by Hearn. So the Eagles pushing strongly. Franklin, well, that's not a replay. That's happening now. It's happened all afternoon. Brennan's got the short pass. Mackenzie doing a very good job. Franklin playing his part too, though. It's a wonderful duel so far. Parker, courageous customer, takes the mark just forward of the wing. So 9 points. The margin here as Parker kicks to a contest. Schofield got a hand to it. Franklin came through aggressively. Now in the pocket, McGlynn from Kennedy, but the snap misses to the near side. So the margin is 10. 11 scoring shots to 6.
He's been good, McGlynn, too. Let's see, he had 11 disposals now, 172 centimetres. Third smallest player in the AFL behind Boomer Harvey and Jake Lloyd. Game for all sizes, Tom.
No doubt about that, Baz.
So Hearn again, the long one. Cox caught behind this time. Well done, Parker. Spun out of trouble, and then down in the buddy direction. We've got a whistle. And finally, the umpire's patience wears thin.
Time back on.
Saw the explanation there from the umpire that it was a bit of a bear hug from Eric McKenzie. He's a terrific one-on-one defender, but just weight of numbers here, and Buddy Franklin will slip in on the free kick. Terrific matchup so far.
So Franklin hasn't troubled the scorers as yet. Kicking for his first, he likes it off the boot, and the Swans get it back to a 16-point break.
Let's have a look at it here. The umpire's explanation was as soon as they see two arms around, even whether there's not a sail jumper grab, just the two arms around the waist is enough to give the free kick.
So Buddy with 41 goals for the season now. Pritis once more, 11 possessions in the opening term. Play-on's the call. Malcheski forced to kick with the right boot down towards half forward. Ellis, well, over the head of Hearn, taken by Franklin. Braced himself for contact. Ball rolls loose. Ellis tries to soccer it forward. Parker had it a long time. Comes back towards Jack. That's Brandon. Hand passes to Smith to Franklin. Sends him away on his left side. Dangerous. Sends it down towards full forward. Brennan comes at him. Awkward bouncing football. Played it okay. Knocked it to Gaff to Hearn. Hearn under pressure. Kicks to the outer side. Going back McVeigh. Staying on his feet. Cripps. Feeds it forward to Hutchings. It's 3-on-1 around the outer side. They kick it early. McGovern had it bounce off the chest. Wellingham, who kicked it, follows up. Not required. Around the outer side. The kick then down towards half forward. Taken by Hutchings. Sharp angle. Up goes Kennedy. Loose ball at the back. And taken across the line by Malcheski.
Well called, Dan. Great opportunity there for West Coast. Kennedy just appeared to go a little early off the ground. May have been better in these conditions just to try to outbody his opponent. Kennedy has outbodied Richards here, but illegally. There's a nervous bobble around there. When he didn't mark it first time cleanly, it allowed Kennedy in, but he got him high. So Richards. Cox at the back, fisting forward. Parker's been so good. Rampe was over the footy and then taken quickly by West Coast. Cox inside, free kick, not there for Cripps. Ball on the ground, Laidler. Well done. McGovern at the bottom of the pack. The ball comes loose Malcheski's way. He went to soccer and missed the footy. Wellingham's in. How did he dispose of that? Okay, says the umpire. Sliding to his knees, Cripps. Darling over the football as well. Jack there with him, McVeigh. Great handball. And Malcheski's clearing kick towards the wing.
This is Gaff. Drives it back inside the 50. Richard stays out of the contest. Sydney very well represented. It's grabbed down there by McGlynn. He kicks it down towards full forward. And the mark is taken by Reid, and now 50 against Darling.
Yeah, it's undisciplined, disappointing there from Darling. Certainly 50-metre penalty. I think Sam Reid's looked really good.
Yeah.
He's looked really clean. He's taken some marks in the front half. He looks to me, he looks like a player who could play centre-half back his whole career and be an All-Australian top defender. So, embarrassment of riches for some of the Swans.
Kicks it straight.
Kicks like a defender.
Kicks like on the bounce. It's uncanny, that really, isn't it?
I don't mind pumping up someone as a defender and then they kick it like a defender. I think it's...
Adam Simpson not smiling at the moment. So important this game as far as the Eagles are concerned. Marston camped in front. Inadvertent boot came from Bird. Shuey gets onto this one and skids out of bounds in the pocket. So that's a good result as far as the West Coast Eagles are concerned. They'll get a throw in. What a good player he was, Adam Simpson. Joined North Melbourne in '95. Played 4 seasons alongside John Longmire. Tossed in. Pike at his feet. Goods. Little looping hand pass. Well done, Huey. Across to Lacroix. No space for him. Taken down by Lloyd. Ball spills back towards Bird. Tries to get it across to Parker. Parker and Bird battling in there. But they've got a maestro in terms of the hard ball. Couldn't get it off Pritis. And he walks it across the boundary line.
Guys, Craig Bird's doing a great job on Matt Pritis this quarter. Only kept him to the 1 disposal this quarter.
Lysett and Cox both in that contest. A double team, and Pritis again. First hands on the footy.
Really improved player, Jude, isn't he, Craig Bird? He's having a fantastic season.
Yeah, has the ability to win his own footy, but also shut someone down. So that's certainly why John Longmire's thrown it to him.
But less than 10 minutes to play in this opening half. Here's Richards again. He had the footy and lost it. Was knocked out of his hands. And Malcheski gets it from Parker. Kick towards Rowan. They seem to be holding on, did Hearn. And then an interesting soccer. Shepherd comes across and knocks the ball over the line. Interesting too, Tom. They're very keen, the West Coast Eagles, when rebounding off half-back, as you would appreciate, to get the ball into the hands of Shannon Hearn, but they really do go out of their way to make sure that happens.
And he's stiffened them up. He's had some injury concerns at the start of the year. He's a big-bodied player. You've seen him outbody younger players like Jack and Lloyd, but such a crucial part of their defensive structure.
Rampe to Laidler. That was well done by Leclerc. He got his hands in there, but even better by Malcheski. Sends the ball in the Hearn direction, the double fist. That's okay. Over the line.
Remarkable player now. Malcheski back there. Does so many things well and so important with the ball in his hands. Tossed in. Lysette knocks it down. Parker at close quarters to Malcheski. Spills wide. Jetta nowhere to go. Shuey. Hand passes in hope. Parker again. Slick hand pass. But today those hand passes need to be perfect. Parker through his legs. Reid. McVeigh, a high ball to midfield. Goods outmaneuvered by Shepherd. Well done by the youngster.
Plays on quickly. Brennan. He looks up, not a lot on, so he goes short to Master. Now not a great kick, and well, in the end, out of bounds may have been the best result for West Coast. First game of the year for Jacob Brennan. His dad, Monkey, of course, a member of the 92 and no, that was his nickname, Tom, of course. Michael, member of the 92 and 94 premiership side. The 94 premiership team got together last Saturday night here in Perth for a reunion. A couple of key members missing. They're on the main wing, of course. And Mick Malthouse and Guy McKenna with coaching duties. So Shepherd involved again. McKenzie, who has been good on Buddy, despite that free kick. Is the kick count, the wrestle count. And Lysette, no, they won't like that.
Drop mark there by Scott Lysette. Interesting statistic. West Coast average 92 marks a game. I know the conditions are not great at the moment, but only the 14 so far in this match.
Well, we're hanging on there in both directions. Leclerc, McGlynn, trying to get out of there was Parker, taken down through the legs of Richards. Parker up to 17 possessions now. Laidler didn't have the footy, comes to Jack. West Coast Eagles tackling well, applying pressure. Rampe, Leclerc could have been held. Crowd wanted a free kick. Leclerc oblivious to all of that, back into the action. Now a chance for Rampe in space. McVeigh on the outer side. Goes close to the boundary. Mark is taken by Franklin. That was great acceleration. They were body to body. And in the space of 3 steps, Franklin got some clearance.
This requires absolute best efforts. There's a stiff breeze blowing right to left, but certainly showing the intention to go back and have a ping at it, buddy. Be a brave man to rule him out from here.
Yep. Kicks from 60. It's on its way. His kicking has improved this season. Just missed. I tell you who had a stellar 5 minutes or so. And I don't think he was further away than a metre from an opponent at any stage, Luke Parker. The first thing you notice about Luke Parker is you don't notice him. I mean, he's in there. He's working hard. Just a terrific young player.
10 touches this quarter, then 7 of them contested. Perfect weather for a Parker. So Schofield to McKenzie. And Sydney's lead stays around that mark, 16 points. It's touched off the boot, that one. Prittis knows that, let it bounce. It stayed on the line, so worked in West Coast favour. And then Darling, free on Rampe, gets a couple of metres on him. McGovern darting back towards the goal square. Wellingham with a long lead. McGovern comes again. Well done, Richards. That takes courage. And excellent reading of the play.
Terrific play there by Ted Richards. He's an all-Australian defender. The rock, I mean, that is seriously courageous. But what we didn't see on screen was the effort of the Sydney mids to push back as well to deny any uncontested marks in the forward 50 for West Coast.
Lysette trying to bring it over the back. There he is. Parker this time smothered off the boot. McKinney throws it on his boot. Just offline.
You can can see why they want to stop Priddis. That was a beautiful kick going in, wasn't it, in these conditions?
He's had a big game, 13 disposals for Priddis.
Yeah, as Jude said, Burr curbing his involvement. Lysette, body to body with Pike, steps away, takes the mark. Short one is on to Pike as it turned out. Pike grabs it, kicks towards the centre square. Nobody behind that pair. They run past them now, Franklin and McKenzie. Hand pass comes out. That was Brandon Jack. Leading back in the race is Priddis. Hand passes towards the boundary, and that will do. So we'll have a throw in.
To the poor 5 or so minutes, Lysette dropped the chest mark on the far half-forward flank, and then on that occasion kicking into Mike Pike. Dean Cox taking the ruck duties for this throw in here.
So Cox works his way in front of Pike, but gee, that was well done. Pike worked around and got in front in the end. Priddis, another possession. Quick kick, high ball. Now it won't be a mark, it was Kennedy's ball. Well done by Reid. McGlynn read that nicely and then runs away towards goal. So the 216's in a foot race. Rowan, so quick, started 5 metres behind and wins by 5 metres on the line.
Yeah, it showed his leg speed there, didn't it?
Yep. Here's Gaff in the back pocket. The Eagles have been okay so far this afternoon, coming off some good form last week, particularly the finish over the top Franklin. And the ball goes out of bounds. I tell you what, he's working hard, buddy, isn't he?
Well, we spoke in the pre-game, Den, about whether he's nearing the form of 2008, and numbers suggest he is, but it's that sort of stuff, his defensive effort, his work rate, and his overall physical presence, which tends me to think he's right at the peak of his powers.
McGlynn feeling it now, getting some touches, sends it down towards full forward. Didn't kick it to the advantage of Rowan, who closed quickly on McKenzie. Now McKenzie's got a problem, but that's the right decision. A ball up. Only 20 minutes out from goal, approaching half-time. Kennedy, McGlynn again, looks back towards the middle. Wellingham in front of the pack, falls to Malcheski, hand passes towards goal. Rowan went to ground, picked up by Rosa, found a way through, sends a high ball back towards midfield. Only 2 players in the forward half of the Eagles, and they're on the wing. It's marginal. Trying to get through there, McGovern, or was it Shuey? Shuey got boot to ball, comes to Darling. McGinnity went to ground. McGlynn won a hard footy as well. They're all pretty hard at the moment. Malcheski puts it inside the forward 50. Rowan had it slapped away by Hutchings. Under pressure, Ellis just outside the 50. McGlynn, he's having a purple patch. The little fella sends it just wide.
Well, that mark there actually shows one of the fundamental differences between the two sides at the moment. The Sydney defenders really keen to push up right to the half-forward line, whereas the West Coast defenders happy to sit back and take the ball off. The Swans deep in their defence. It applies so much pressure on the West Coast when Sydney push up the way they are at the moment.
McGlynn with 17 disposals, now 12 in this term, and the kick from Ellis a bit shallow. So McVeigh on the 50. It's a dangerous ball. Reid now up forward. Handball back for Lloyd. Sends it back towards the square. It bounces the wrong way.
Just peppering the goal at the moment, aren't they?
What is it, 16 scoring shots to 8. So double the scoring shots. It probably tells a more accurate story of the game so far. But West Coast hanging in there, Tom, hanging in.
Yeah, they got that goal late, didn't they, just before quarter time.
Shannon Hearn, what a beautiful kick outside the 50.
And you wondered then why Ellis kicked in last time. He's the man for that job.
Quite right. Hutchings told to play on. As a result, a slow floater up towards the wing. Parker. Rampe, who's a long kick. Well, too long on this occasion for his own good. Rowan under the 40. McKenzie gets a 50.
It's good umpiring. Whether you think the decision is right or not, it was paid at the other end in favour of the Sydney Swans. So consistency, I think, is what the fans and the players are ultimately after.
So McKenzie to a cruising Shuey, who goes out wide to Gaff. Shuey continues his run. Gaff thinks about it, runs himself into trouble, and went back to Shuey as a last resort. Rowan's got it. Goods. Well, he aligned himself with the footy and socketed it reasonably well out of bounds in the pocket, which I think was his objective. So we'll have a throw in. Well, Gaff was going to give the ball and then became indecisive, and that cost them. So a late chance here, just over 2 minutes. Goals pretty scarce this afternoon, only 8 of them in the game. The 220s, Cox knocks it down at full tilt. Coming through that pack there was Goods like a force of nature. In the pocket, Hearn swings it back towards the outer side wing, over the top Kennedy. Falls in front to Darling. Pike butters up. Ball up.
It's a football education on the run then, Tom, wasn't it, for Gaff?
Absolutely.
Taking Buddy on, and well, he didn't really want to take him on. That's a great handball from Leclerc. Shepherd on his way past. Interesting now. McGovern and Grundy. McGovern, well, Grundy, brilliant. He got the tap first over to Rampe, and he butters up again. Terrific work. Nick Smith there to assist, and the clearing kick, almost perfect play from Sydney. And as it turns out, with McVeigh getting the ball on the bounce, just about spot on. Rosa on half back. They work it forward, ends up with Gaff, Shepherd. Hutchings had his hands on it momentarily and over the line.
Well, again, we saw that was an opportunity at the West Coast. That's how they're going to keep their goals, because the Sydney defenders push right up. They will be able to get a one-on-one contest if they can get the ball over the top. A terrific work from Heath Grundy deep in defence for the Swans moments ago.
Yeah, boundary throw in. Cox is up in front to tap it down. Hutchings inadvertently back to Cox. His kick smothered. Ricochets back towards the congestion. Accelerating out his jet. A vacant goal square. This will run on. It skids. It runs. It goes wide.
What was he doing that time?
I think he was taking a shot that time. Interesting, Tom, talking about McKenzie before in his one-out battle with Franklin, and that time Grundy. You would have been in that situation a few times, really exposed at the back like that. How does it feel, 1 out?
Well, you rely so much on the pressure from your teammates coming up. When you're in a good team and you've squeezed up and you know it's coming under pressure, it's quite comfortable. But as we see the... Oh.
So Bunny thought it was his free kick, Tom.
I'd like another look at it, Baz.
You've been in that situation too.
Plenty of times, both receiving and giving away the
Happy to get the whistle go your way, I bet. That was certainly the case for McKenzie. And well done, Hutchings, who's having a good game, and McGovern with some strength. Read that football well, and the kick is terrific for Leclerc. So a chance for West Coast to get a late one. 30 seconds left on the clock. Cripps goes short to the pocket. Darling, McGinnity, Cripps kept coming, and they get the goal late. Well done, West Coast.
Well, it's exactly what we spoke about earlier. The Sydney defenders really keen to push up. That's the way they play and play their best football, but it means you can get exposed. It was Rampe deep one-on-one, and I'll tell you, just to go back to here's the free kick here. It's for this. It's for that. The second push there. You can argue that Franklin was being held first. So
yeah. A free for holding on for Franklin and a free for high contact.
And a lot worse has been let go this afternoon anyway. Whoever was deserving of the free kick there. So the Eagles, the masters of the late goal so far in this game. Prittis with that mark just seconds before quarter time. And now Cripps, the late inclusion, bobbing up. We're down to 13 seconds remaining in the half. The umpire calls for it. So the clock stops at 7. Tough afternoon at the office for everybody, including Buddy Franklin. I saw him moments ago. Wide of the pack. Well done by Reid. Kennedy kicks inside the forward 50. There's the siren. And for wet weather football, it's been pretty entertaining here at Patterson Stadium. 17 scoring shots to 9. But the Eagles have been valiant so far. 10 against the Dockers. They've been better today in more difficult conditions. Kennedy goes after the first football, picked up by Bird. He's been handy, sends it down towards half-foot. Goods went to ground, off the ground by Hearn. Kennedy on the end of it, but only as far as McKenzie. Great duel, McKenzie and Franklin. Gaff, a lot of the football in trouble. Brennan wanted to give it back to Gaff, but as you saw, it slipped. Sends a high one towards the wing. Pike helped on its way by Lycett. Covered by McGinnity. Down to Schofield with the outside of the boot to half forward. Rampe knocking away from Darling. had him without the football. Darling goes back after it. They tackled that time by Richards. He still manages to thump it inside the forward 50. McGlynn kept it alive for a while. Still alive. Oh, terrific stuff there by Richards, diving across the boot of Kennedy. And the kick from the pocket, deep in the pocket by McGlynn, goes just through for a behind. Just snuck in.
Positive start here from West Coast. I'd love to see the West Coast defenders push right up and try to squeeze this in and keep it inside their forward 50, put some heat on the Sydney defence.
Malcheski to himself. Wasn't that fantastic by Richards? We saw the intercept spoil in the second term, and then that was just a brilliant smother. It takes a lot of courage to be able to do that. Somebody about to unload with the boot, give it everything. Speaking of courage, high tackle in there, but no free kick, and it comes out again for Shepherd. So he sends a high ball inside 50. McGovern's been good when the footy's been on the ground. And this man, Rosa, can bend it around, and not enough. Not quite enough. Just getting back to Richards. I mean, Tom, stuff that is out of your playbook, but just courageous, and the effort required to be able to do both at either end. Just really high on the difficulty scale.
And he's been such a good player for the Sydney Swans. And you see how much effort's required. The interview with Jude Bolton, he was absolutely spent at half-time. Terrific play.
Chewy, lie set, high ball inside the forward 50. Falls to Smith. Under pressure, Laidler gets a kick away, and Pike slides in to take the mark. And Rosa just missing. Tough opportunity, but you've got to take them as best you can on a day like today. Malcheski, high ball towards the wing. Jack over the top. In front, Bird found his way out of there. Sends it towards half forward. Well, Macca and Buddy, the show's on again. The ball almost secondary. Well, look at that.
There is some holding there.
There was, but who was holding who? Gaff goes back, sockers off the ground from long range, and puts it through for a minor score. Now, I think back a few weeks to the MCG, and Dustin Martin when he hand passed from that range. I think that's fair enough.
I mean, that's the case. If the umpire's just not quite sure who to call for, so he's just called play on. I think most people are happy with that.
Shannon in Dean Cox's direction. I'm not sure that he was helped out there by Shepherd. He might have just touched that footy drifting through. Prittis, a high ball. Ends up with this man, Jetta, who swings it back towards the main event. It was Goods there, just working off Hearn. Ellis went down. Schofield over the footy for a long time. He gets a second attempt here. Dangerous. Kennedy worked it to Jack. Now Buddy. Handball out into space. McVeigh. Kennedy again over the footy. McGinnity ends up with Jetta, who again trying to curl it around, but not enough, and out of bounds on the full.
It's hard work out there, Jude. Have conditions deteriorated from where you are?
Still very wet and sodden. It's yeah, just really starting to just come down fairly heavily, and very tough conditions.
Ellis around the outer side, very close to the boundary. In fact, they bounce right on the line. So have a throw-in out there. Good result as far as the Eagles are concerned.
Give you an idea of how scrappy it's been too, Dan. The last 11 scoring shots, only one of them has been a goal.
It feels that way. Behind the pack, Rosa hammers it forward. Getting in the road, Smith to Jetta. He's been lively. Bounces one, close to the boundary line. Coming up is Reid, loved his game. Not suited by the conditions. Well, he gritted his teeth. He was remonstrating and trying to get rid of this, and gritting your teeth is very important in that situation. Umpire spots that. He knows you're trying. Going against the flow, Brennan. Kennedy stood up in a tackle. Reid keeps it alive. Well played. Oh, taken high was Jack. He'll get a free kick. And darting around the boundary, McGlynn. He had a big-time second turn. Brandon Jack's going to be a player too. He's got silky skills. Ellis, I don't think any more will come from that. Although you never know. Free kick paid. Goal opens up for the left footer. Nice looking kick across the face. Getting back. That was Cox at his best. Out-bodying his opponent and taking a strong falling mark.
Getting out of the congestion is the tough part now for the West Coast Eagles. Hard to run it out on a day like today. So McKenzie from the pocket. A long one. Well done, Hutchings. He's played well today. This is disposal number 15. Interesting footy journey from East Perth to West Perth, back to East Perth. Spent time on St Kilda's list under Ross Lyon and now making a fist of it under Adam Simpson here at the West Coast Eagles. Persistence personified. Gaff's long ball to the wing, and I think West Coast happy to get it over. And it's Butler now warming up, another man who's persisted. Den, player that they, well, I think has flirted with going out of the team. He does go out of the team. They can't retire him. He keeps staying on the list and he keeps getting games.
He just does it. Hutchings. Jack in trouble. Did well. The two Jacks combining. Kieran to Brandon, but stolen away by Wellingham. Sends it down towards half forward. Outnumbered Darling. Kennedy did well. Bounced off a would-be tackler. Shuey gets it from Darling. Sends a very high one. Get under that. About 40 metres out from goal. Wellingham kept coming. Continued his run. Tries to soccer it to the goal square. Laidler found a way through. Nice hand pass. Richards sends it to the wing. 3-on-2 for the Eagles. Good result for Sydney. It bounces out of bounds. Well-earned break for that man.
Just thinking about Sam Butler, I'd be thinking one of the tools for West Coast coming up, either a Lycett or a Cox, perhaps McGovern. Probably McGovern, I'd suggest.
So Cox and Pike wrestling there. Neither ruckman got hands on the footy. Slapped forward by Shepherd, and then he went with the sock at Jetta. Wow. It plays into his hands, and into his hands so cleanly. Now the kick for Rampe. Darling's got some pace, but so is the man in front. It sits for him, Rampe. He takes Darling on, and he wins that race. Kick down towards half forward. Buddy, it bounces away from him. Ellis went in there hard. Ball, bottom of that pack. Does it come out? Buddy's got his hands on it. That was a great contest from both teams in difficult conditions.
Really get a good appreciation of how quick Jack Darling is there chasing down Dane Rampe. Rampe was good enough to get away, but a fantastic pursuit from Jack Darling.
Jetta does well back to Rampe. High ball, working at the back goods. McKenzie with courage almost the mark. Deftly off the ground by Ellis. On his knees, Rosa. Schofield, tackle once, then twice. Taking him down, Rowan. Going after the football is Jetta. He's claimed by Prentice. It's not pretty. Ball up, right on the 50. 31 plays 43. The Eagles still in touch. Then dominated by the Swans. Wide to Darling. Well done by Cox. McGinnity looks inboard. Wellingham will go back to McGinnity. McGinnity running down towards half forward. Not a lot to kick to, and that's not the spot for it. That was the third of one option.
Richards making the most of his good fortune, and the kick onto the chest of Cunningham. Yeah, it was a poor kick. It needed to be, well, more central really, didn't it? And the deeper it went, the more favoured Richards was by it. Bad luck for West Coast, showing a bit.
There's a responsibility of the forward also. I understand the playing up and the Sydney defenders are playing up, but if you're running back towards your goal, just need a little softer lead up.
Lloyd to Kieran, Jack to Jetta. Look out, trouble here. And Rowan, he thought about going. Now he's waiting for Buddy. Buddy comes once, he comes a second time. The lead is honoured with a kick. Well done, Rosa. It wasn't a great kick off the boot, it's got to be said. And as a result, West Coast do okay here. Shepherd, Rosa, and now McGovern clean on his chest this time.
Wants to go, did go. Takes on Richards. Gives it to Rosa, striding out through the midfield. Goes with a talk. That'll be hard to mark. It was. Lycett couldn't hang on. Grundy. Oh, Lycett caught one there from, it was Cunningham who put the hip in. Fairly enough. Lacroix meantime across the body down towards full forward. Gaff, little fellow, went in amongst some tall timber. 10 metres out. Snaring it and coming away. Kieran Jack to space. Mark is taken by Lloyd. Off a step, high ball. Rowan reaches over the top, surrounded by Eagles. Shepherd goes in, knew where the help was. Hutchings got an unkind bounce. Jetta run down by Darling and just as well. In goes Parker, finds the loose ball. McVeigh, and now McGlynn to space. Goes down the boundary and will skid out. And those two down there exhausted. They've gone, what, 15 rounds so far?
It was a concertina effect, Dan. McGinnity into Cunningham, into Lycett. Bad luck. And Darling very stiff not to be paid holding the ball, I thought, just a moment or two ago. on Jeddah. Now's the umpire see that one. Swatted over the line. It's okay.
You mentioned Lewis Jeddah up 6, I suppose, was this quarter. He's certainly come out well after half-time.
You get the feeling, Tom, this is West Coast's moment, isn't it? They've done well here. They've held firm at the start of this third term. Just need a goal at the other end. Brennan went without the football. Ends up with Kennedy. Cox had him. Malcheski. Jeddah. It's well done by McGinnity, but Jeddah's kick excellent to the pocket. Doesn't stay in.
Just watching Eric McKenzie really closely, playing fullback on Lance Franklin. He's as good a one-on-one defender there is in the competition at the moment. I know it's very much an Eastern Seaboard dominated competition in terms of the media saturation, but he's one who deserves all the accolades that come his way.
Cox did well, you've noticed, Tom. Well done. Prittis down to Rosa. Around the body. That's a good mark.
No,
really well done, McGinnity.
Big fan of McKenzie for a long time, Baz. Just thought he deserves a public pump-up.
McGinnity from half-back, short of the wing. Kennedy knocked it away from Richards, taken by Wellingham. Awkward kick to Mark. Well done there by Lysette. Punched it away from Reid. Unfortunately for him, went to Lloyd. Kicks inside the forward 50. Goes to the back. Goods runs onto it. Gets his second goal. An opportunistic goal for a man with a milestone. And that is the beauty of Goods. He can play small, can't he? I mean, I think I described him as a force of nature earlier in the game. He is that, but he's very nimble too. Has finesse. McGlynn. Well done. He's had a terrific game, McGlynn. So important to them. Fumbled that time. Marston. Wellingham. Out of the pack by Butler. Kick along the boundary line from Brennan. Taken by Prittis. Goes inside the forward 50. Grundy. That was a late decision by Grundy. He was going to take it in his hands out in front and did well enough to let it come onto his chest. Let's go down to Jude.
Yeah, the sub's been made, boys. McGovern has gone off and Butler's come on.
We called it, Tom, I guess the obvious one.
Yeah, it was. Just an extra player tall at the minute. The Eagles, they're not going to win the game by taking towering marks in their forward 50. They're going to win it by running through the midfield. So Butler injected into the game.
So Grundy to Smith to Richards. Back to Grundy. A high ball towards the wing. Well done, Shepherd. He's played well today. Trying hard. He's up to disposal number 15 now. He sends a long ball. Lacroix in front. Couldn't quite hang on. Grundy mopping up at the back. Tough one now, Laidler. Ball along the ground. Goods claiming the mark. Was he? Shuey's right there with him. Up it will come. Lysette. Jack at the back of that pack. Little handball cruising by. It was McVeigh, but the kick not so good. And again, Shepherd just chopping them off at midfield.
There's very wide. Rosa. Last time we saw him on a Sunday afternoon. 37 possessions against the Saints. Quieter last week against Fremantle. Shuey. Oh, well done by Richards. Well done by Shuey. Gave it to long kick down towards full forward. Kennedy got hands to it. Couldn't hang on. Courage from Lacroix. Well played by Richards. Spills out to Lysette. In space. Hutchings a fumble. Moment has passed, at least initially. Still the Eagles battle manfully in there. Ellis, Butler. Chance for Cripps. Knocks it wide. And guess who? McGlynn. Well, he's worked off it. Terrific stuff in there by Cripps to keep it alive. Butler a strong tackle. Got Brandon Jack down, then won the football. In the opposite direction was Hutchings. Over the football is Shuey. Got to his feet. Scrambled out of there by Lloyd. Back it comes outside the 50. McKenzie a fumble. Kennedy. No one up ahead. He had to hesitate. McGlynn went to the ground. Sliding in there is Brennan. In the opposite direction is Mike Pike, or is it? Well, and it's going to be a ball up. Just the attacking side of the centre square.
I like this set up by the Eagles. They played with courage, pushed right up, and helped by Buddy Franklin pushing deep into Sydney's defence, but put the pressure on the Swans here.
Ellis, third man up in Cripps' direction. Laidler overran the football. They're coming here, West Coast. They just need some clean possession, and not easy on a day like today. Rosa, bottom of that pack. He wanted a free kick, comes up without the football. West Coast at their end, though.
Third man up would be good. There is a bit of space just in 5 or so metres in front of the goal square.
And Pike did well. Prittis almost running onto that one high contact bird. And it just releases a little bit of that pressure.
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
They did really well, though. As well as West Coast were doing coming. Well, Sydney just fantastic to hold firm, and Rampe. Disposal number 19 for him. He's had a good afternoon as well. Not the only one in Sydney colours. Reid. Well done, Lysette. Good roving. Contest he was in. Prittis to Rosa. They've got numbers here. Hutchings goes longer towards the pocket. Kennedy. Oh, Richards. Well done. The arm reaching around.
Terrific game, Ted Richards. Not sure whether he'll feature in the votes today, but he's had a fantastic game on Kennedy. He's done a lot of the hard stuff, a lot of the courageous stuff.
18 points the margin. And the West Coast Eagles pressing again here. Clean possession to Cox. Out of the pack, just slung it. Wellingham runs onto it. Held up in a tackle, Darling. Waiting to snare him and take him down, McVeigh. Darling needs to try there. It's not good enough to put your arms out. He was a bit lucky.
Thank you.
Had the football and just showed the umpire that it was wedged between the pair, but I'd like you to make an attempt and grit those teeth, as we said before. Ellis a half chance. Wellingham trying to sneak it through. Grundy does well. Jetta having a good turn. Found a way through. Around the outer side. Kick smothered. Ricochets across towards Kennedy. That's Josh Kennedy of the Swans. And he's ushered across the boundary line. We'll have a throw in. The tempo has certainly gone up. The Swans lead by 18.
Said it earlier, Deb, for a wet weather game, it's been a great game, much better than the scoreline suggests, and they're really having a dip, the West Coast Eagles.
Oh.
Darling over at it, heavy contact, Jack coming one way, Lacroix the other. They both jumped up straight away.
Yeah, he's getting busy, Mark Lacroix. He was due back. I mean, that is when either player doesn't have an alternative option. That's a great contest from those two players and bounce straight back. But he's getting busy. He's trying to release the tag off Nick Smith, Mark Lacroix.
Well, for the purists, they say wet weather footy isn't that pretty, but this has been something to behold. This term in particular, in the last 10 minutes, fantastic football. Wellingham, Rosa, they got it out. Shuey, now it's a high ball. Richards read it well. Rosa's kick not good, probably just had a little bit too much on it. Rampe in the pocket.
He's got a black belt in defence, Teddy Richards, hasn't he? He's outstanding. Goes short, finds Rampe. Just a slugfest at the moment. Entertaining nevertheless. A high ball to the wing, off hands. Here's Goods. Hard to stop it. He's moving like this. Nobody up ahead. Schofield has to go back, falling over off the ball with Shepherd, so they've got an extra man, Sydney. But the ball trickles out of bounds. Probably, Tom, this sort of weather, safer to play football, but much tougher, if that makes sense.
No, I think I agree with that. The overall speed of the game's down, but it's the men's department out there. It's genuinely contested right now.
Yes. Boys need not apply. Prittis taken down, spills wide. Rosa, Hutchings trying to find a way through. Gang tackled, a couple waiting for him. Hutchings, a player for this sort of weather too. He's enjoying himself, as we said, carving an itch. Played at Sandringham, bothered by injury over there when he was on the Saints list. High goes Lysette, down to Lacroix. Sends it towards half forward. Richards again. Darling bearing down. He's quick. Darling turns the defence around, but Grundy, he's been resolute back there. He's cool. Clever kick too. Very clever. And it's just taken across the line by Smith. We'll have a boundary throw in.
He's had a really good game, Nick Smith. He's one of my favourite players. I think the best small defender in the game at the moment. He's had the job on Mark Lacroix. Lacroix with the 11 disposals. Getting busy this turn. But Nick Smith well and truly on top in that battle.
It's a real grind, isn't it? 1-1 Sydney, 2 behinds only for West Coast in this term and less than 5 minutes to play. But it's at their end again. Lacroix, the class man, maybe shouldn't have given it to Gaff. Lucky perhaps not to be caught for holding the ball. Kennedy trying to burst his way through for West Coast. Lacroix again, Rosa. That was a good kick out of the pack. Parker did brilliantly, but the mark has been taken by Lysette. So Parker's gather, terrific, but the clearing kick didn't have enough on it for their first goal of the term. To get it back to a 2
see there, that's a good 56, 57 metres, and that made it through post high. That's a big kick at a big stage in this game. Eagles back in it.
Powerful leg in all respects there. Rucks go at it, falls at their feet. Nothing doing. Darling held up by Bird.
Room in the back, please, Craig. 1 metre, thank you.
They go at it again. Lysette, fingertips to it. McVeigh, only about 10 metres in the opposite direction. Ellis, touch ball, bounces down towards half forward. Smith played it brilliantly, avoided getting in the back of Shuey, just diving to the side, and we've got a ball up.
If they can snag another one here, what have we got? Just under 4 minutes to play in this term, and then come home with the win. The Eagles, the game's still well and truly alive.
Yep, home fans, not all of the members here today, but urging them on. Their season very much on a knife's edge. He knows that. 3.5 minutes till three-quarter time. Lysette, third man up though, helping Lysette was Ellis, thumped at about 15 metres. Rosa laid a strong tackle. Well, Lysette paid a mark. We've got about 10 metres, sends it down towards full forward. Cox is down there battling too. Still he goes, the champ in trouble. Spills off his boot. Inadvertently came to Cripps. Dragged down by Grundy. Good hand pass from Darling. And they've got the goal. Well done by Shuey. Threw it on the boot.
Terrific effort there by Dean Cox. He was the lone target there, and then this is just effort at the ball. Great hands out there by Darling. Terrific snap on goal by Shuey. They were missing those ones early in the quarter.
So in the heavy conditions, West Coast have outscored Sydney 2-2 to 1-1 in this term. They've doubled their score. Obviously low-scoring affair. Matt Rose at 10 disposals in this third term. He's been a real mover for them.
And that's it there, Baz. He came off just after that goal, getting his forearm checked. We'll keep an eye on that through Jude Bolton.
So Ellis, long kick, had a little bit too much on it. Not what they wanted there, West Coast. Layla, Sydney really under pressure here. Malcheski's kick through the hands of Kennedy. Well done, diving across Ellis. Let's get down to Jude. He's got an update for us. Jude.
Yeah, they're just checking Rose's right shoulder at this stage. As he went over here, just crashed to the ground. And he just jogged off, really holding that right shoulder.
So boundary throw in right at the interchange gates. Pike almost turned around by Cox, slapped down. After it goes Jack. What a crack in that collision. They're not far away from us. McGlynn hooks it across his body. Mark is taken by Gaff. Goes looking for Shepherd. Getting back. It's taken by Rowan. Rowan did well to anticipate that. Now into the path of Franklin. But as has been the case all day, McKenzie there step for step. And the ball is out of bounds. What a frustrating role he's played. Certainly the conditions favour a defender. But having said that, McKenzie has made no concessions at all. Cox knocks it down. Intercepted by Kennedy. Could have been in the back. Prentice underneath Kennedy. Somehow Kennedy extracts the football. Rolls across to Parker. He's claimed by Gaff. Rueful look at the umpire. He'll toss it up.
There's Jenner having a breather. It's been a really gutsy effort by the West Coast Eagles, as was the case last week against Fremantle in the Derby. Although this man finds a way through. McGlynn, the little man, with a big finish.
Just watch McGlynn on the left of screen there. He's just come through. Andrew Gaff needed to be A, aware that he was coming, and then B, put some body pressure on him. So not a good result for the Eagles.
Minute and a half to go then. Pike, bit of a fumble. Parker, McVeigh, Sydney responding. Franklin juggles the mark. Running back, Rowan. Kick goes in that direction. Not a good kick. That was a very bad kick. Minor score. Obviously fancied himself from there. There's Rosa with that shoulder. With the kick, neither one thing nor the other.
Had a bad couple of minutes, Gaff, too. You mentioned him a moment ago now. Whistle here for high contact on Hearn. And a handy result for West Coast against Rowan. The kick from Gaff into the middle of the ground.
Yeah, cut off by Rowan.
And then the error not standing goal side of McGlynn. So young player still learning.
I think he was goal side, Baz, but he just gave himself too much space, and you just have to get body contact on, particularly in these occasions.
Hearn long one down the line. So West Coast, what they most want to do is not concede one. Parker, after being so gallant, this is tough for Brennan. Back with a fly to the ball. Buddy bearing down on him, gets rid of him easily, but the help is there. McKenzie over the line and maybe taken high. No, the umpire just waves to the boundary man. Send it in.
Just need to absorb this now, don't they? The Eagles going with this break here at 13 points.
Well done by Buddy too. 45 seconds remaining in the term. Lysette taps it down. Hutchings again wins a hard ball. Quillis sold a teammate into trouble. Cripps did okay. Gaff went forward. Wellingham waited. Shuey goes along the boundary line. It was touched. Darling to ground through the legs of Shepherd. And he's bundled across the boundary. That's dangerous when you go searching for the footy back between your legs. As it was, no one took him high, but not a time to be searching for too long. Tossed in, Lysette and Pike. Wide of the pack. Gaff. Oh, brilliant smother there by McGlynn. They've hit his shoulder there. Lloyd, a hurried kick around the corner, and the mark is taken by McVeigh. It'll take a bit to stop him. Man who should be doing battery commercials. He never stops. There's the ball inside the forward 50. Knocked forward by Brennan. Taken by Reid. Did well. Heard the voice. Went back to Bird. There's the siren. Down goes Buddy on the siren. Bounces to his feet. What's new? It's been contact all afternoon between that pair. McKenzie and Franklin. And that was a bruising, pulsating term of AFL football. It doesn't get more basic than that. Slippery conditions. Sydney challenged. They came back with a late goal. And at three-quarter time, the margin is 13 points. The West Coast Eagles showing a lot of grit. In Sydney, as we know, a lot of class and grit. No trouble either. Wide of the pack, Darling. Sockers off the deck, goes down towards half forward. Lacroix, need a bit more from him. Hearn following up. Sockers inside the 50. Cunningham heads for the boundary under pressure, and the umpire says throw it in.
Boys, Rose has taken the jumper off and he's just got the jacket on, so he won't take any further part.
Well, that's really bad luck, isn't it, for West Coast? One of their really influential players in that third term. We mentioned how many times he had the footy as the run was coming, and now they're going to have to find another run without him. Smith, McKenzie just ducking into the Buddy tackle, lowered the shoulder. Buddy did nicely. Got it across to Kennedy. Up the line, stays in. This will be interesting for Schofield now. He got rid of Reid. That was clever. And he goes back down the line. Tough one here. Rampe up high. Bird read that well. Great tackle, McGinnity. And got him holding the ball.
Pushing right up here, West Coast. They need to play courageous football, not so much in the sense of putting their head over the ball, but their ball use and their defensive positioning.
Opening goal of the last term. What a lift it would give them. McGlynn again. He's been terrific. Smith, Wellingham got a hand in there. Darling, no mark as a result. Would have heard that call. Needs to make an attempt. Up it will come inside 50 for the West Coast Eagles, pressing to start this final term. 13 points Sydney's lead. We've played 90 seconds.
Season on the line for them. Doubt they could make the 8 if they lose today. Parker into unexplored territory. Nice weaving run as he came away. Now, this man is about 25 metres clear and no one behind him. But a very good result for the Swans. Beat him out of bounds. Players pushing up today. It's a day for it. Vacant forward lines. Throwing in Lysette and Pike. Pike effectively worth a kick. Now a chance for Jack. Brandon Jack, a left footer. Butler didn't seem to realise that. Ball floats down to the pocket. Not a good kick. Ellis playing one of his best games this afternoon as an Eagle, although doubt the wisdom of the kick. Right to centre half back. In trouble is Darling. Jenner's got him. That's got to be holding it. Oh, gee, an eternity. Well done, though, by Jack to get boot to ball. He was nimble and quick. Across the 50 with the run of it. McVeigh confronted there by Shepherd. Well played by Gaff. Got it back to Shuey. Bounces one up towards the wing. Oh, brilliant by Hearn. Gave it to Marston. Marston to no man's land. Peeling off Richards. Consummate defender. reminiscent of Tom Harley. He knocks it out of bounds.
Then he was nimble and he was quick, but that was holding the ball.
That came after holding the ball.
It was certainly incorrect disposal on the top of what should have been holding the ball also.
So Cox up in front. Still they press the West Coast Eagles. Kennedy, Wellingham. Good tackle by McVeigh at the back on Prittis. Wellingham got it against Shepherd. He's tried very hard today. Tough ball. McGinnity loves it there. He did pull the ball back in and somehow got it out to Shannon Hurd. Interesting. Now Schofield. A long ball. Lacroix the target again. Well done up in front, Grundy. One down towards Cunningham, and then the clearing ball out from Jack. McGlynn, who's been in everything, but the kick not so good. Schofield over the football. He dived over it. No whistle from the umpire. Comes out Jack's way. McGlynn, can he get around Wellingham? Did brilliantly. It was Brandon Jack that started it all off. And now Jeddah. Long ball down inside 50. Well, they've been the main event all day. And that time, they fight a draw as the ball bounces over the line.
Has been a great contest. Let's have another look at it here. There's certainly a fistful of jumper there from Buddy, and there's an armful of body there from McKenzie. So it's a 0-0 draw, and the ball goes out of line.
Parker, third man up. Hearn, full-chested at the footy. Jeddah, big second half. Bird, loves it tough. Cunningham, short. And Parker. He is just developing by the week, this guy. Luke Parker, man on the mark, 40 metres from goal. And a snapshot of what makes McGlynn so good just moments ago. Almost impossible to tackle. Wellingham had him dead to rights. And he charged through. Just broke the attempted tackle. Going at his second, Parker. He's got the carry. Now that does hurt. Terrific effort. So tell us about his background, Tom, Luke Parker.
Well, he was a fantastic junior. I was led to believe he won 9 best and fairest as a junior, played to the level every time, and was seen as a steal by the Swans, and just looks a Swans-type player, and he's having a fantastic career.
So this equals their biggest lead of the game now. Bird gets the football out. Guess who? McGlynn, long down towards the 50. Rowan, he's been busy. Reid over the top for Lloyd, who sends it back down towards those two again. Buddy Franklin. Good support this time from Brennan. McKenzie might have been out of that contest too, so he needed it then. And Cox, is that a mark? Umpire blows his whistle. Quick one up the line. Cripps has had it a long time. He goes short. Gaff. So 19 points.
Right there, mate. You're on it.
Quarter of an hour to play. It will take their very best from here, the West Coast Eagles. Some promising signs, though. Mentioned earlier, they fought back in the Derby last week. They were down and hit the front in the last term, and they've shown plenty of ticker here. Hearn, that was a great mark. Darling at his feet. Didn't really want it there. Tough ball, Bird. He did that nicely. And what a good kick from McGlynn, but not sure that it was the required distance from Kennedy.
Pretty sure it wasn't, Baz.
Lloyd comes across the ground to Smith. Smith lowers the eyes. Parker, look at Jack take off. Kieran Jack is the man. If he can move the ball to him, he can't initially. Comes to Lloyd, who stumbles. Comes back to Parker. The moment is gone for Jack. The kick goes inside the forward 50. Working his gaff. Tries to paddle it in front. Coming across the path there of Ellis and doing very well was Lloyd to hold it up. Now Jack is back in the action. Trying to cut his way through. Hand passes across to Bird. Bird gets onto this one. Down towards full forward. Goods. You've got to lose some against quality, but it's a bad time to lose that one. He's kicked 2 in his record-breaking game. More games than any other Indigenous player. 341 today. Just get the feeling he's building towards a powerful final series, and he puts it through. West Coast on their knees.
Well, the matchup of the day has been Eric McKenzie and Lance Franklin. Looking at the stats there, not much in it. So on those numbers, you would say Eric McKenzie's got the chocolates, but he's had 8 tackles leading all comers for the Swans and demonstrating his defensive work, but McKenzie the better.
Scoring at McKenzie's way, Tom.
Yeah, just, I think, Baz.
Defender gets the nod. No surprise. I think he has just won that duel, but he's been good, though. And McKenzie, well, close to the best player on the West Coast Eagles list. Now, Cox in a lot of pain just off this contest. He reached for the back of his neck, and again, that's interesting for the game's record holder. He appears to be in a lot of pain and still just can't get himself involved. Meanwhile, ball forward in the goods direction. Schofield will be happy for the siren to ring now. Rowan did brilliantly. Jetta even better. And McGlynn, well, he's been superb. Why wouldn't he kick another goal?
Yeah, Dean Cox just got a little bit of a stinger right on the right arm there, on the shoulder. He's just pushed forward at this stage. Was in a bit of discomfort, but he's all right now.
One down by Lysette. Parker. Laidler. Growing in stature, Laidler. Played at Geelong, played at Carlton. Not a lot of football, just a handful of games. Not even a handful at Geelong. A few more at Carlton, but has found a home with Sydney. Prittis. Heard the voice, missed the target. Parker, elusive, and he missed the target. Wellingham off the ground. Laidler worked back into the contest well. Wayward kick, that was touched. Ellis, well, I'm not sure he got the call too early, and as a result, the umpire very compassionate. Across quickly. Reid, a strong tackle, got him down.
Umpire wastes no time. Over the top, Parker, third man up. He got his fist to that. Look at Parker's numbers. He's had a big game, hasn't he? 29 disposals, 19 of them contested. Live ladder. So, as we said at the outset, the Swans playing for top spot. They'll be a game clear now at the end of round 16. And as Dan mentioned, Tom, they do look the team to beat.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Baz. And they may be able to set themselves up to give them some of their prime moves a spell going into the latter couple of rounds.
Bird, a kick out of the congestion. Offline.
Such a strategic approach to premierships these days. It's get enough wins to make the top 4, and if you can get enough wins to make the top 2 and give a bit of a spell to your really heavy lifters throughout the year, just to make sure that you list in the best possible condition come September.
This is harmful too if West Coast thought they had a chance. The rain is really coming down now. Parker, what a game he's played. Bird, ditto. Inside the forward 50. Reid goes after it. Spills across to Butler. Ellis too long. Ball jarred out of there. Kennedy got it from Reid and hangs it out and misses. So it looks like a win for Adam Goods today. Celebrating game number 341. Passing Andrew McLeod 340. Michael O'Loughlin, a Sydney man, 303. And Gavin Wanganeen, one of the greats of all time in my book, on 300. Lloyd into Prittis. Shuey in trouble. Hutchings, now Ellis.
A clearing kick from the former Hawk. It's back towards the line. Cripps the late inclusion. It's been lively, particularly early. Faded from the game a little, but it's done okay. A scoreline of 33 points probably doesn't do West Coast justice today, particularly during that second term and the very early going in the final, Tom.
Yeah, there have been some positive signs, but I think the class and the grunt of the Swans come to the fore in this last term.
McGlynn had a lot of the football. Hutchings has tried hard as well. He kicks the ball inside 50. Grundy, Kennedy, he's exhausted as Josh Kennedy of the West Coast Eagles. Lead after lead in heavy going. Hasn't been his day. And he'll probably have a case to answer on Monday.
We're just talking about those numbers. And Gavin Wanganeen at 300 and those above him as this boundary throw-in takes place. Lysette and Pike. Parker, well done. That was a difficult split in 10-pin bowling parlance. It comes up towards the wing and the mark is taken by Butler. Interesting that two Indigenous Australian Football Hall of Famers, Graham Farmer and Barry Cable, played a heck of a lot of football. There's Rampe, rampaging across half-back, searching kick to the outer side as if on cue. Goods. Now, Paulie played a total of 356 for East Perth, Geelong and West Perth, and Barry Cable 382 for Perth, North Melbourne and East Perth. And Both of those guys, a lot of state football as well. But the club games in Western Australia don't count as Brandon Jack takes a mark about 30 metres out. Interesting because Barry Robran is a legend of the game. He's in the Australian Football Hall of Fame. And he didn't play in Victoria, so does that mean no games, Barry, alongside his name?
Yeah, it's an interesting debate. I'm certainly not taking anything away from Adam Goods in his 341 games, but that is a lot of great footy from Cable and Farmer, that's for sure.
Good kick. Brandon Jack just misses. Goods might well be a legend before it's all over and in there with them.
Well, you're on the selection panel, Den, for the Australian Football Hall of Fame.
Inopportune time to bring that up, Tom. You could get me in trouble.
No.
I've just gone off on a bit of a tangent.
No, I guess the discussion point is that difficult to assess, isn't it, when you go back to state league football?
Yeah, very tough. Out of bounds, and we'll have a throw in, but Barry in all measure played over 400 games if you're taking the state ones. It's not a comparison, it's just an observation.
Adam Goods, he's a modern marvel. 3 decades he's played. Tony Lockett played in Sydney's team on the day that he made his debut. Round 1, 1999. That's how long he's been plying his trade for, and at the highest level. Up in front, Malcheski from the Leclerc kick, and mopping up McVeigh. They've been terrific. McVeigh's kick, not the required distance this time. Interesting interpretation. We've seen a few different versions of it from the umpires today. Pike back to McVeigh. Shepherd, his gang tackle at the back. Lloyd, Brandon Jack in front, and up it will come again.
Well, the weighted numbers really starting to tell now. 62 inside forward 50s is Lewis Jetta. He's had a fantastic game himself. 62 inside forward 50s to 48. 27 scoring shots just to the 13 of the West Coast Eagles.
Cox looks to be okay now, down to Prittis. That was well done. Wellingham, Malcheski, and Cripps, I think, has given him a little nudge in the back. So a free kick for Malcheski, he's tried really hard as well. 20 disposals, 21 now. What a great kick. Ellis on the bounce towards the wing, missed by Smith's fist. Well, he got a little bit on it, and Darling did very well with Buddy right there with him. Cripps trying to keep it alive for Kennedy of West Coast. He lost the handle on the football. Grundy was in there hard. Malcheski again, kick towards midfield. Rowan, cleverly done to Kennedy. That was brilliant. Just a little tap, and on the lead, Goods. Can't mark this time. Reid, how's the pickup? Can he get away from Schofield? Not really. Handballs back towards Kennedy. And now Mackenzie a high ball. They're not out of trouble here yet, the West Coast Eagles. Rowan, Kennedy, back towards the line. Tough one for Shuey. But he read it well, waited, and the kick was okay.
Josh Kennedy up to 25 possessions. Most of them in tight, body to body. Just a terrific player too. I mentioned his streak before. He plays tough. So to survive for 121 consecutive games, don't miss a game in all of that streak. Started at Hawthorn, continued at Sydney. It's just amazing.
He's exactly the type of player that if given the opportunity, a spell would be great, I think, leading into September. Not that he's so durable and those numbers back that up, but just a little fresher leading into September.
Yeah, what an improved player. Inside the forward 50. Thumped out again. Kieran Jack, the skipper, went to ground. Franklin went back the other way, just being perverse. Missing it was Ellis. Back heeled by Josh Kennedy of the West Coast Eagles. That was clever. Laidler goes down towards full forward. Back goes Mackenzie. He fell over. Goods, a half chance. Couldn't believe it. He's got 3 goals. And on a day like today, that's worth about 5 or 6.
Interesting. Ball to the line of Rampe, who's had a good game as well. Just takes it over and hands it back to the boundary umpire.
Swans are up to 179 contested possessions. Before this, they had 173 in the Geelong game, so it's the most contested possessions they've had this year.
Gaff going to ground. Needed to be careful there. There's Kennedy again. He's been a real warrior in these conditions. Conditions for Warriors. Jack sends the ball forward, and Ellis A good mark on his chest.
Maybe his best game as an Eagle, Baz. You've seen more of them than I have. I've been impressed with him today.
Yeah, be very close.
Drives it to midfield. Not his best kick, though. Cunningham had to wait. McGlynn came over the top. Jack missed it. Butler grabs it. Nobody inside the forward 50. So it's a race back. Darling assessed it very well. Into the path of Lycett. He slipped over. Over the top comes Richard. Still Lycett with the football. Tries to give it to Lacroix. Lacroix finds it. Malcheski. That was brilliant, Malcheski. Kept his eye on the footy. All he was interested in was stifling that hand pass, and he succeeded.
Scott Lycett. A lot of talk about Lycett being left out of the team for the Derby. Across to the man who he was left out for, Cox. Obviously no bad feeling. Cox are behind. Tough one to know now how the West Coast Eagles play that as well. Obviously Dean Cox coming towards the end of a glittering career as the game's record holder. Interesting too that both clubs with their game's record holders out on the park. It happened last as well, Tom, with Fremantle and Matthew Pavlich. Doesn't often happen. 2 weeks in a row. Both clubs' games record holders. Kick not good, so there's still a chance here, West Coast. Darling trying to break through, and then he was looking for a runner, and there was not a runner coming. McGinnity, Kennedy, well, he wasn't a runner, but he's a finisher. He kicks the goal.
Strength by Darling to stand up there. That's a good snap by Kennedy. Gives him 38 goals for the season. A couple of big hauls too, 11 and 7. Fourth player taken in the draft of 05 by Carlton. Involved in the Judd trade. Hutchings off the ground. Standing his ground, Malcheski. And Ellis comes up and takes it to Gaff. Cox on the move for him. And as a result, Gaff looked back inside and then just kicked in home. Sometimes he needs to just trust his instinct and try and deliver the ball because he's a very good kick. Bird towards the wing. Rowan up high. Arriving quickly is Jack. And Jack quite content just to push it across the line. We'll have a throw in and Jack keeps walking.
Just watching Gary Ryan. When you're at the top of the table like the Swans are, there's so much competition for spots. He's come into the side as a late replacement for Tippett, so he's got a number of weeks now to really press his claim for a finals berth.
28 points Sydney's lead. This last quarter must feel now as though it's taking an eternity for the West Coast Eagles. After giving so much cheek, Adam Simpson's men improving but not getting the wins and not getting the wins against top 8 opposition. And in the end, that's what counts. So the Gold Coast victory here a few weeks back, the one shining light for the West Coast Eagles in this season. Interesting reading, really, their form line. A 1-7 record against top 8 teams. The only win against the West Coast. Their percentage of 72 against top 8 teams. Against the bottom 10 teams, a 5-1 record and a percentage of 182.
Well, this is what the Swans have got to come, and I guess when you've won 11 straight, you probably go into favourites, in as favourites. The Hawthorn game on a Saturday night at the MCG looms large, doesn't it?
So we give them the win here, and then against Carlton next week, who had a good win today, the Blues, incidentally. They'll be going to equal a club record of 12. 3 times they've done it in Sydney's history. The last time back in 1935. It's probably where that Bloods culture really bubbled away, Tom.
Yeah, they won the flag in 33. Broke the 72-year drought in 2005. But obviously a very good side in the early 30s, Baz.
Tom Harley, your chosen subject is football history.
You've asked me about it. I was there. Past 10.
I didn't want to say that.
There's Gaff.
Who played well that day?
How did you call then?
I was under a brolly. In those days you could bring brollies in. I couldn't see as well as perhaps I should have. I'm glad you weren't under a brolly, seeing as so cheeky. We've got a boundary throw, and now we've got a ball up. It's taken by McVeigh. Hurriedly, down towards half forward. Ellis stood up in the tackle. Well done by Shuey. Marston, high ball, a floating ball. Laidler missed it. Kennedy missed the target. McVeigh goes after the footy, takes it near the boundary line. Well, he's a good player as well, isn't he, McVeigh? Parker, one off his personal best. He's on 31 at the moment, trying to hack his way through as Butler. And Butler did it.
Butler comes again. Always good to have a Butler around. Long ball down towards Darling. He waited for it on his chest. Rampe gives away the free kick.
Been tireless, those key forwards for the West Coast Eagles. It hasn't come in with any real fluency whatsoever, but Darling and Kennedy, McGlynn was subbed off, but no doubt that's a free kick over the shoulder from Dane Rampe, who has also had a really strong game for the Swans.
He's trying hard today, Darling. He's kicked a goal, 16 disposals. This will be number 17. He's worked up and down the ground tirelessly. And we've seen his speed on display with a goal that he kicked earlier, 23 for the season. So a real contributor and spending more and more time in the midfield. Distance, he had it in him, but just in these conditions, struggling for a little bit extra and offline.
Well, you mentioned the results from the West Coast Eagles against top 8 sides and bottom 10 sides, and suggestions they are flat track bullies, and they've been beaten by a better side here, but they've got young key forwards to build a side around. They just need to have a bit more fluency and direction with which they direct the ball inside their forward 50 to give them a chance.
Grundy, Parker the big lead. Close to the boundary line. McKenzie stays in. McVeigh, Parker. Good evasion, so that's a PB now as he sends it down towards half forward. After it goes Schofield, running out of space. Sweeps a hand pass to McKenzie. Had a good game to Butler. He'll go across the ground to Hearn. Clock is running down inside the last 2 minutes of this one.
And Hearn for Darling again. Tough one for him. Richards right there. Well, 2 black belts as it turns out. Then one with a black belt in defence and one with a black belt in judo. Good contest, fisting away from behind. Marston in front, who started this game really well. The spoil from McGlynn, who's been outstanding, and Hutchings to Hearn to Shepherd. Marston's first term outstanding. They did sit on him a little more closely after that, and he struggled from that point. Here's Brennan, got it from Ellis, long one. Melcheski, big fist in the Smith direction. His game's been very solid as well, as has Birds. Long ball, the wing, Kennedy in front, Schofield at the back. Prittis did well, and he was pushed as he got rid of it.
In the back,
Talking of black belts, has Jack got one, Jack Dale?
In judo? Yes.
You're talking about Jack there?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Ted.
Well, Ted and...
Oh, you joined them together.
Ted's
2 black belts.
Ted's got one in defence. You ordained that earlier in the program.
I see, I see.
You should listen to your good lines then.
Heard him before, Baz. After it goes McGinnity, Marston smothered. I suppose that's a rumour Jack might just put on the street. We don't know. We haven't seen him wearing it. Coming through midfield. You'd do that, wouldn't you? It goes down towards half forward. Going back is McKenzie. Fires it out. Ellis did well to control that ball. He's dragged down. In goes Brennan. Stolen away by Lloyd. Last 7 seconds. It'd be nice if he kicked the goal here, Lloyd. Sends it towards full forward. It runs on and on. Across the line, final siren. And a gritty victory to Sydney. They win by 28 points. They led by 13 at 3/4 time. So they gave us the big finish. And the West Coast Eagles now with their season all but gone. 10-19, 7-9 at Patterson Stadium.
To break Andrew McLeod's record today, how special is that milestone?
Yeah, look, me and Bunch are really good mates, and I didn't even know it was coming up, to be honest. But you know, for him to call me up during the week and wish me all the best, and hopefully I can get a few more games, mate, and try and set the bar a little bit higher for the next bloke.
11 straight now for the Swans. How well is the team travelling?
Today was a really good test for us over here in Perth. This is a real slug out here with the conditions, and obviously to lose Zach Jones early, I thought the boys really digged in late, and to get a win like that was fantastic.
And especially the guys around the ball, McGlynn, Parker, they were terrific, weren't they?
Yeah, it's perfect conditions for those blokes. They're hard nuts, they're in there tackling, hard ball gets, just like you, mate. So it's a huge effort. Win over here against the Eagles, so we're pretty happy.
And a lazy 3 for you?
Just a lazy 3, mate. You know how it is.
Good work.
Isn't that great to see, Tom? We talked about football history earlier, and particularly Sydney football history. Jude Bolton and Adam Goods, 301 games between them. And Jude, of course, second on the all-time games played for Sydney with 325. Just fantastic. That was great TV. Let's get back down to Jude.
Well, we're here with a man who had 33 possessions, Luke Parker, 2 goals as well. And you love these conditions, don't you?
Yeah, it's not too bad for me. It slows it down, so I think everyone fumbles a bit, gives me a bit more time to get to the contest. So, no, I love those conditions. It's just a hard slog.
Just the team in general, it was just a really hard slog, and just to put I guess, a stamp on it that third term.
Yeah, definitely. I think we had a few momentum swings. They probably kicked 3 in a row, and I think it was then that the midfield really stood up. Pikey got up in the ruck, and it was just more a crash and bash and get back on top, a few neutrals, and yeah, just get it going our way.
And Carlton next week back at the SCG?
Yeah, it's another big test, so hopefully we can keep going. Doing well.
Good work, mate.
Cheers, buddy.
Unassuming young man, Luke Parker, 22 contested possessions. That's his game, isn't it?
That's a career high. Previous personal best was 17, so terrific game and best player on the ground, I think.
I told you about the lift, didn't I, with Benny McGlynn?
It's like a reunion down there.
Oh,
Jude Bolton's got a walk. Benny McGlynn. Take it away, Jude.
It is the reunion down here now. We've got the little cannonball. He's another man who loves these conditions, Benny. A tough day, hey?
Yeah, it was a hard fight, but you know, it's good to get by the boys. But yeah, the wet weather suits us little blokes, so we've had parks before, but it was good to get a win.
What about the strength of this list? There's plenty of talent sitting in the stands at the moment. Obviously, Tippett was a late withdrawal. You've still got Hanbury, Shaw to come back in at some stage.
Yeah, look, obviously those guys, it's disappointing they're not playing, but you know, Jakey Lloyd and Harry Cunningham, they're playing well. Young Zachy Jones, unfortunately, went down today. I'm not sure what happened to him, but you know, those guys have come in and took the load on, and you know, we're looking forward to getting Hanbury and Shawry back after the bye, I guess. And you seem to be relishing that opportunity to play through the midfield this year, and another big game from you. Yeah, look, I'm enjoying it, so it's good to get around there and helps Kizza and Mac McVeigh out as well. So it frees them up, and it's good to have the rotations through the middle, but I'm enjoying being around the ball. Taking over your spot, mate. Rest up and enjoy the red eye home. Yeah, we'll do. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Well, after a performance like that, you say 172 centimetres tall, don't you? He was fantastic, really stood up in these conditions. They're all very good. Parker, probably the best of them.
I think 3 votes to Parker. McGlynn was very good. Josh Kennedy also. It was a contested ball game, and they were the 3 masters of that craft today.
So finally, it was 79 to 51 at Patterson Stadium. Sydney make it 11 straight. Adam Goods plays in game 341 and wins. And tonight, Sydney are on top of the table. A lot of tough stuff here at Patterson Stadium. Pretty bleak out there at Patterson Stadium. Final score 10-19 to 7-9. Baz, you voted in this award earlier today.
And the man with a very impressive trophy at the back is Luke Parker, Tom, the HMAS Sydney 2 Best on Ground trophy.
No doubt he was the best player on the ground. 33 disposals, 22 contested, and he's going to need an extra seat on the flight back to take that cannon home with him.
What about the live ladder? Sydney on top of the table tonight.
For the first time this year, Dan, and they are a game clear. This time last year playing terrific football as well. They may look at managing their list come September now, so very well placed for a serious assault at the flag.
Fremantle making a run. They're back in 4th spot, as you can see. They've benefited from the weekend. Hawthorn with so many injury woes. And Port, mini slump, do you think?
A little slump. They've lost 3 from 4, I think it is now. And the Crows Hawthorn Friday night at Adelaide Oval is a massive game. The Crows just got that glimmer to get into 8th spot, and the Hawks need to consolidate.